Hello everybody, Vino over back with some more Katawa Shoujo. Let's get right into it. Maybe she came to the same conclusion as I did. For everyone's sake, I decided to let the mind-reading topic drop, as it's entirely inane anyway. Yeah, Lily's right. If you can't remember, there's no point staying here. Rin considers this rather simple deduction for a moment, then nods. Okay, let's get out of here. Let's go. We start towards the school again, having wasted more time than necessary with this episode. Rin walks along the edge of the sidewalk in her arrhythmic way, looking like a mix of a sleepwalker and rope dancer, while Lily keeps one hand on my shoulder, tapping at the ground with her cane. Tap, step, tap, step, tap, step, step, step. Apart from that, and a few fragmented beginnings of conversation, it's quiet. Quite apart from the relaxing one into town, at that. So, how's the mural going? We're going to get bad luck. Never talk about works in progress. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Bad luck. Tap, step, tap, step. She doesn't care to talk about it. Lily's politeness feels out of place for the first time. Step, step, step. The hill Yamaku rests on top of is surprisingly steep, going uphill. We slow the pace, but I still feel my pulse rising and breathing getting heavier. Almost there. I can see the gates already. More than that, though, I notice that Lily's hand slightly tightens on my shoulder, interpreting it as a gesture that she wants to ask something. I speak up. Anything wrong, Lily? I always mess up her name. Lily. I resist the urge to say, aside from our traveling companion, but only just. For a moment, she seems to debate whether she should even bring it up, but goes for it anyway. Is everything alright? Alright? How do you mean? The fact I can't interpret her incredibly vague question puts her off for a second. It's just, you seem unusually tired, I guess. Now that she brings it up, I notice that my breathing is strangely heavy. The uphill walk has really done a job on me. Lily noticed it all too quickly. Oh, okay. Let's be honest. Hisao needs to stop being a little baby about it and talk about it. So, it's alright. I just need to catch my breath. My condition isn't the best these days. Oh, is it something that is related to you being transferred here? I mean... She cuts herself off rather abruptly. Maybe she's realizing she was being a bit intrusive. Her instincts are sharp though, and while I don't like the subject, it's not like I should lie about it either. If it's Lily, I don't think I mind. I'm just a little weak for the time being. Hanako said you look fairly healthy, so I naturally thought... Lily doesn't finish her sentence again, letting it trail off with a measure of concern. As she furrows her brow, Lily's uncomfortable expression spurs me to say at least something to ease her feelings. It's surprising she's this flustered. Considering her straightforward attitude with her own blindness, she must know that not all share her comfort about such things. No, it's okay. I have a pretty... I guess the best way to put it would be messed up heart, arrhythmia. I had a bad heart attack a while ago because of it, and spent most of the spring in a hospital. Ended in Yamaku on doctor's orders. She silently nods her head in acknowledgement. My answer, though only, seems to make Lily furrow her brow even further. She doesn't seem to quite know how to react, given we don't really know each other that well. I can't really fault her for it, given I have the same exact reaction. To my surprise, in a moment's time her face shows that she comes to some sort of realization. Wait, so the time when Emmy and you collided in the hallway? I grimace slightly. Her ability to connect the dots quite so fast is unexpected. Yeah, I guess I'm a textbook example of why those rules about running in the corridors exist. That was a lot more dry than I had intended. Lily visibly shies away from continuing the topic. While I do want to assuage her concern, I really don't want to dwell on this either. Don't worry about it. I try to offer a reassuring smile, but then I realize the futility. Without knowing this, Lily smiles at me, reassuringly, but doesn't say anything further. Arriving at the dorms, Rin stops in front of her mural as if lightning struck her. She had been so quiet for almost all of the walk back that I had but forgotten she was here. It's Friday, isn't it? Yes, Friday the 8th of June. This is bad. Bad? Why? I think I'm going to go in a fetal position and throw up, possibly in reverse order. Is something wrong? No, nothing is wrong. It's Friday, nothing is wrong yet. This mural is going to need to be finished by Sunday, so everything's alright. Do you have any drugs? Or a time machine? This is not good. Not good. So she's behind her schedule. Recalling Shizune's exasperation at Rin's carefree attitude several days ago, I don't know what to think. She has left herself open for a told you so, unless she can pull off whatever she needs to pull off by Sunday morning. Rin keeps staring at her mural, looking as mortified as she can. Leave me. I'm going to need to work for a while. I glance at Lily, expecting her to share an incredulous look with me as I roll my eyes, but then I realize she's not one to do that kind of thing. Because she's blind. Leave me. We do, of course, not wanting to aggravate her any more than she already is. There's a churning bad feeling in my gut. Rin sure has a knack of making people feel worried about her. She seems like a person who should never be left alone. Maybe we should call someone? She sounded like she was going to shock or something. I'm sure she will be just fine. She's just, how to say... Lily cocks her head a little, trying to find a polite way of calling Rin crazy without calling her crazy. Unique? Yeah, a very unique person. I guess you could say that. She giggles at the notion melodiously, nodding in agreement. Sorry about leaving you stranded as you talk to her. I don't really understand her, so I keep my distance. So my guess was right. Lily offers a slight apologetic smile as if she was sorry that her own shortcomings have prevented her from becoming closer to Rin. I'm not one to blame her. At all. Lily lets slip a long breath, probably a disguised yawn. I imagine she's as exhausted by all this as I am. I'd better leave now and give these to Hanako. Thank you for the company, Hisao. She smiles very sweetly at me. It feels different than normal, despite the fact that she seems to be smiling so often. I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on what the difference is. It's just different. Relaxed, I'd say, but that's probably just relief over getting rid of Rin. Maybe. Yeah, good night. Say hi to Hanako for me. I will. Good night. Awkward silence. Awkward silence. Awkward silence. Remember, this is a read-through. Playthrough. The students roll into class for the Saturday morning session, each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until the lunch break, and then our time's our own. Muto lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some page and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in the class is going to call him out on it. Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. That can partly be attributed to the 2 empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Shizune aren't present, probably doing council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. Thank goodness. I wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she is making up for Shizune's lack of voice. Nakai, can I speak to you for a moment? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I don't even notice Muto approaching my desk. Sure, what's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Muto stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he is trying to say. Not knowing what is going on, I wait silently. So, tell me, how are things? Things? I expected Muto to be a little vague, but this is pushing the limits. You know, things. You've had a week to settle in now, so how are things? Fine, I guess. I see, and, how is your condition? The pause before condition seems a little unnecessary. Haven't had any problems so far. A brief shimmer of relief passes across Muto's face. Good, that's good. The school nurse was a little bit concerned that you might have been pushing yourself a bit too hard. He asked me to keep an eye on you when he couldn't. That makes sense. I'd ask that you don't just blow us off so freely. As much as we try to give you the level of education that you would get at a normal school, you have to realize that you have limits. Our goal is to make sure that you know where those limits are, and how to maximize your potential within them. Do you follow me? I guess. I don't plan on doing anything stupid. Well, that's a start, I guess. So, then, on to my next question. How are you finding your new studies? Your studies. I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Muto taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my life support prison. Well, yeah, you got to keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but any one of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Muto's serious talk is over, and he's gone back to his standard, slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think, in hindsight, that I prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really have to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? My relief at that suggestion is insurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Muto pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For an instant, I would consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back into the classroom. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the questions on the board. Some don't even bother, their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Muto doesn't even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. The class returns to the near silence that Muto and I left it in before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall slowly ticks the remaining class time away, until finally the bells cry out, ending the torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers to those problems by Monday. The class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink as everyone rushes to their last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish the questions so I don't have to bother with it over the rest of the weekend, with the festival and all tomorrow. Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lily. It's weird that Lily comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako. But it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that or anything else either, so an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of a novel she's reading. My pencil lead splinters against the paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. The sounds of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako? Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and run to Lily. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall, and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. God damn it, that sentence. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes, she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her though, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, that isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. But why would Lily leave her to her own devices? It seems to be quite out of the ordinary, going by Hanako's reaction. Oh, that's right. I think Lily mentioned something about going to town today before Rin bumped into us. Thought of that walk makes me look outside. The bright sun and occasional people wandering around and enjoying the afternoon make me yearn to get out of the school, or at least do something other than sit here. Giving into one of my worst vices, procrastination, I decide that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday, or a Monday, or any other day than this one. I give a grunt as I lever myself out of my seat, briefly debating with myself whether or not to hang out with Kenji. He doesn't strike me as a enjoying the nice weather outside with others kind of person, really. I guess I'll catch up with him later. Changing tacks, I briefly entertain the idea of talking with Hanako, but by the time I look at her seat, it's vacant. She must have left for the library. There's got to be something to do that I can kill the time. Alright, this is a critical point in the game. Because if you go to the library, you'll start going on Hanako's path, pretty sure that it's critical. And if you go for a walk with Town, you go on Lily's path. So, I'm gonna go with Lily. So, following Hanako to the library seems a bit intrusive. There was a reason she left the classroom after all. And that aside, I do want to catch up with Lily. At the very least, I'd like to thank her for looking out for me despite her other, obviously taxing duties. I guess I'll walk around town. With any luck, I should be able to find Lily. The exercise will do me some good as well. The music changed really weirdly. Walking through the school courtyard to the gate, I give a small nod to a couple of passing classmates, the gesture being returned in kind. Even from here, the shouts of the sports club members can be heard. From the sheer volume of the din, the track must be packed right now. I remember what Lily said yesterday about being dropped right into the middle of a busy time for the school. While I'm trying to get my bearings and catch up on study that I've missed, everyone else is doing normal school activities. The feeling of being a foreigner still hasn't dissipated, at least not yet. Well, I guess not everything's bad. This is a private school, and that much is easily noticed when walking around outside. Not only are the school grounds huge, but the buildings themselves are immaculate and quite divorced from the dime a dozen concrete blocks of public schools. There's also the fact that there's a much stronger feeling of community here, or at least a friendlier atmosphere. At my old school, it was generally accepted that the people would keep to their own little clique, and be done with it. Eventually, I reach the gate and begin to walk down the road and into town. Well, that was fairly productive. Having seen a fair portion of the town, even including the houses perched on the hills around the outskirts, I decide to take a walk around the park before heading back. Living in the city all my life, the total lack of smartly dressed businessmen and fashionably dressed girls strikes me as incredibly unusual. All that's to be seen are the odd elderly person shuffling along the sidewalk and assorted busily chatting pairs of middle-aged women outside of small storefronts. Jesus Christ, I messed that really bad. Walking along the road to the park quickly distracts me from them though, making me realize that I perhaps pushed myself farther than I should have done to see as much as I could. Oh man, domino effect. As my breath begins to wheeze and my chest tightens more and more, I give up on the prospect of soldiering on. After a quick glance around the park as I enter, I take a seat on a wobbly old bench that I notice near a couple of vending machines. For minutes on end, I sit with my head bent over, forcing myself to take deep breaths. I feel more like an old man than a teenager who should be in the prime of his life. The stay in the hospital, the surgery, and the medications must be taking their toll on me. Damn it. Eventually, my breathing returns to normal, and the muscles in my chest loosen, not without a fair measure of relief. I guess this means the end of my little sojourn, though, in any case. Sorry guys, you got a stupid reader here. There's a cafe on the far corner, so I'll stop by to quench my thirst before heading back. A little bell above the door signals my arrival to an empty counter. For a few moments, I stand there waiting, my eyes every now and again drifting from the one counter to the other, searching for a service bell. Oh man, I cannot read. Eventually a door some ways behind the counter opens, the person emerging from it taking me completely by surprise. Yuko? Hi, I had no idea you worked here. I really have no idea how to address her either, given that she is technically school staff as well as, apparently, a waitress. Yes, She quickly paces up to the counter, before flinging her upper half downwards in an overacted bow. Welcome to the Shanghai. May I take your order? Straight down to business, I see. I don't know. Well, some coffee, please? I don't understand how that would quench your thirst. Yes, certainly. I'll make it right away and bring it to you when it's done. Thanks. Yuko's formality takes me aback. She seems to take her job very seriously. Obeying her instructions, I turn around and quickly glance around for a free table. Considering the cafe seems to be empty, this is a simple task to accomplish. As I walk towards a table adjacent to the window, I notice a flash of yellow around one of the table dividers. And we will find out what that flash of yellow is on the next episode of Katawa Shoujo. Thanks for joining me, everybody. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.